All right, welcome everybody. We'll go ahead and give it a couple seconds to make sure our attendees can get into the room. And after that, we've got some table setting, housekeeping slides that we'll run through. And then we'll hand it over to our presenter from Clemson, and then we'll get started. So we'll just wait just a couple seconds to make sure we get our participants in here. All right, it is now 1 after the top of the hour. So welcome to the Virtual College Exploration for All Ohio Students, sponsored by the Ohio Association for College Admission Counseling and by StriveScan. So thank you for joining us. Participants, got just a few table setting, housekeeping announcements just before we get started real quick. Then we'll give the full session to Clemson so they can give you the information that they need to give you for their university. And just know that if you do want to ask a question, first of all, you can use the Q&A button on your screen to type questions to our presenter at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so it's just going to be myself whose camera and microphone will be off as well while the session is ongoing. So the panelists can only see, you can only see and hear the panelists, and they'll be answering questions live from the Q&A. So if you are interested in asking a question, use that Q&A function. And keep in mind, this is just one of many different sessions happening. So be sure to check out the full schedule of events going on at oacac.org. And this presentation is recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website, oacac.org, if you'd like to review the information again or share it out with students or family members or faculty that might be interested in information about Clemson as well. And I'd like to turn it over to our presenters.
Hello, everyone. I am going to share my screen for my presentation first. Are we working? Perfect. Love it. Let's do this. So again, good morning. Yeah, let's go with that. Good morning, everyone. My name is Philip Leal Daniels. I am one of the undergraduate admissions counselors at Clemson University, located in Clemson, South Carolina. As what was just said to you, feel free to ask any and all questions that you have through the Q&A functionality here in Zoom. I'm going to go through my presentation. We have a little over 40 minutes to go. So again, please feel free to ask all your questions. I will do my best to get to all of them at the end. But by all means, if time cuts out or I'm not able to get to your question, please do not hesitate to go to our website, clemson.edu. You will see all of our contact information, my contact information specifically, and feel free to reach out from there. But without further ado, I have a pretty short presentation. So I'm going to run through some key information and we will go from there. So as you can see here initially, this is kind of an aerial overview of what our beautiful campus looks like. Clemson University, like I said, located in Clemson, South Carolina. So one of the biggest questions I get asked by my out-of-state students more specifically, where is Clemson? So we are located where that big orange paw print is. No, we do not take up that much space, but we are located in what's considered to be the upstate of South Carolina. One thing I really loved about Clemson when I was making my decision 5 years ago, I wanted something that would be considered a true college town, meaning not really surrounded or engulfed in the hustle and bustle of a city, but at the same time, understanding I am a huge sports fan and things like that. I still wanted to be able to go to a major city, watch a sports game, hang out with friends, do city-like things. So I was really happy to find out that we are 2 hours from Charlotte, North Carolina, 2 hours from Atlanta, Georgia. So we're kind of right in the middle of those two pretty large cities. So Clemson by the numbers. One of the biggest things I get asked, and probably one of the most important things, what does Clemson look like? So roughly we have around 26,000 students in total, a little over 20,000 of those making up our undergraduate population. We are 51% male, as you can see, 49% female. But from there, I'm going to jump to the far right of my screen where you see our student to faculty ratio. One thing I love about Clemson, even though we are a medium-size-ish school with 20,000 plus undergraduate students, you still get that intimate experience when dealing with professors, advisors, TAs, etc. So we do have that 16-to-1 student to faculty ratio. Here, as you can see, we have a median class size of 19, but our average class size typically hovers around 30, 31 students. Excuse me, for a graduation rate, we project at a 6-year scale, we have an 83% graduation rate. Now, a lot of times I get asked the question, why are you projecting on 6 years when I'm paying to come to school hopefully for 4? Those additional 2 years come from a lot of our experiential learning opportunities. So co-ops, internships, study abroad, things like that add on to the educational aspect or the academic experience here at Clemson, but also supplement that and give you kind of that real world experience. Lastly, we do have a 93% retention rate. That simply just means 93% of our freshmen come back following their freshman year. So our freshman profile, what does Clemson look at? What do we look for in a student? And what did their freshman class typically look like? So this is as of last year, but we had roughly 29,000 applications come in. As you can see, we accepted a little less than 15,000, putting our acceptance rate a little under 50%. And then we had roughly 3,900 students enroll. With the incoming class that actually just started back on campus the top of this week, we have roughly 4,200 students coming in. So we are receiving a lot of applications. We are able to, like I said, accept a little under 50% of them. And as you can see this year, from what I just said about this year, our freshman class is continuously growing. So one thing that's important to note about Clemson is we don't have minimums. I think that's one of the biggest things I want to highlight if you don't take anything else away from what I'm presenting here today. What I mean by we don't have minimums is we do not have a minimum GPA that we're looking for, a minimum SAT, ACT score, or a minimum class rank that can per se guarantee you admission, guarantee you a scholarship, guarantee you a denial, anything of the sort. We operate under what we consider to be a holistic approach. So here on the far right side of the screen, you see my SAT and ACT middle 50% scores. Again, we don't have minimums, but for my students that need something to shoot for, my students that want to gauge whether or not they're quote unquote competitive for Clemson admissions, we give you the middle 50% ranges of what our incoming freshmen have looked like. So that's a 1240 to 1390 on the SAT, 27 to 32 on the ACT. On the far left, you see our high school class rank averages. So 56% of our students in the top 10%, 81 in the top 20, 98% in the top 50%. Again, we don't have minimums. And also we understand that not all schools, school districts, etc., class rank. That's no problem. So if you're one of my students that's applying to Clemson, but your school doesn't class rank, and you hear me now talking a lot about class rank, that is not for you to worry. If your school does not class rank, that just really adds a little bit more homework on my part, which is perfectly fine. I'm going to work with your counselor. I'm going to work with your school profile to kind of gauge what your school curriculum looks like and what the rigor and things like that of your graduating class was. So again, that's nothing for you to worry about. I would like to also note for the 2021 to 2022 academic season or admission season, we are test optional. So we understand due to everything going on with COVID-19, some students aren't able to take tests, as simply as that. Some tests have been postponed and canceled altogether, or some students have been able to take a test, but are unfortunately not able to get that second to third chance when it comes to test taking. We understand that, and for this season, that's perfectly fine. So we are test optional. And I would just like to add, test optional for us truly means test optional. So if you have a score that you're super comfortable with and you think really does portray your academic ability, by all means, send it in. But if you have a score and you're like, I don't think I want anyone to see this, or I'm not too proud of it, don't send it in. We have other factors that we look at, like I said, with our holistic approach. So my admissions dates and deadlines. This is probably the second most important slide through my entire presentation. So Clemson University does not have any early action or early decision deadlines. Instead, we have what we call a priority notification deadline. So our application is open now and will open on August 1st each year. December 1st is our priority notification deadline. So I want that to be understood to mean that by December 1st, we simply need the application. Whether that be our Clemson specific application, the coalition application, or the Common App. We're on all three platforms. We do not prefer one over the other. By December 1st, we simply need you to have submitted the application. By December 1st, we need what I call all of your supporting documentation. So your high school transcript, test scores if you want to send them in. Again, we're test optional for this year. Moving forward, we will not be test optional anymore. So test scores will be required by December 31st. But like I said, for this admission season that we're currently in, December 31st, we need transcript, test scores, and then also any letters of recommendation, resumes, personal statements, essays, any of those that you want to turn in. For our admissions purposes, we do not require letters of rec, resumes, personal statements, etc. But my recommendation or my piece of advice I always give to students is send them in. If you have a trusted person in your life who can write you a letter of rec, if you have this super amazing resume, if you have this compelling thing that you really want us to know about you, send it in. Those documents can only help to tip the scale in your favor or to show us something that maybe the numbers can't. By mid-February, if you meet my December 1st and December 31st deadline, you are guaranteed to have your decision. This year we have started, or we have created, an admissions portal. So by mid-February in your portal, you will be able to see what your decision is. And then last but not least with that, if you meet my two deadlines again, December 1st and December 31st, you are automatically in the running for any merit-based scholarships that we have. So one of the biggest questions, of course, I get asked is not only how I get in, but how do I pay for college? With Clemson University, yes, we have scholarships, especially for out-of-state students, we have scholarships. But one thing that's unique about us, we do not have scholarship applications, separate essays, or anything like that. As long as you apply, again, I can't reiterate this enough, as long as you apply by those 2 dates, you're automatically in contention for any scholarships that we have. And upon receiving your admissions decision, you will also be notified if you are awarded a scholarship. And then last but not least, the final day to apply for fall admission is May 1st. So completing the application, how to apply. Like I mentioned, we are on the Common App, the Coalition app, and we have our Clemson specific application. Paying the application. The application fee is $70. So for my students who may have financial hardship or who may have qualified for a fee waiver at other schools, we have built-in questions that help us gauge whether or not you're eligible for a fee waiver. So if you're going through and you complete your application and at the end, it says $0, that means you qualified for one of our application fee waivers and there's nothing else you have to do. But let's say, for instance, you go through and you still see that $70, but you understand within your personal family situation, there is some kind of hardship or you're just not able to pay that $70. First, I recommend reaching out to your high school counselor, seeing if there's anything they can do, but then also reach out to our office. We will connect you with one of our counselors. Since this is Ohio, I am your counselor, so more than likely you will be connected to me. And from there, we can see what can be done in terms of a fee waiver. Again, we are test optional, but for my students who are looking to send in a test score, we need those reported directly from the testing agency. We do not allow self-reporting. And then lastly, same thing with your transcript. We need your official transcript sent through parchment or via email from your counselor. So what we are looking for, I know when I was talking about our freshman profile, I gave you a few tidbits on what we're looking for, but I always say this is the best way that it was described to me, and I've kept this. There are 5 big keys to opening the Clemson door. In other words, there are 5 key things that we look at. So your GPA, right? Your class rank, we already talked about class rank. The rigor of your classes. So are you challenging yourself within your high school curriculum? Honors, AP, IB, dual enrollment. Are you taking that next step to try and push your educational experience forward, but also, like I said, challenging yourself? Test scores, again, we are test optional. We talked about that a little bit earlier. And then lastly, choice of major. So with Clemson, with our application, with our application, we ask each of our students to indicate 2 majors for which they want to apply into. And we ask that because some of our majors are limited space. As the name states, space is limited, meaning we're not able to accept a large amount of students. For example, nursing, health sciences, sports communication, architecture at times. Those are some of the key ones that we see a lot of students applying into, but because they are limited space, it's oftentimes a little bit more competitive in terms of what we look at in our students. So to give you a quick example before we move forward, let's use nursing as an example. Nursing is our 4-year direct admit program, super popular for our students, but it is limited space. So I always tell my students, look, if nursing is something you know you love and you're interested in and you want to come to Clemson for it, put nursing as that first choice major. But just in case you're not admissible into the nursing program, have a plan B. So I was dealing with a student the other day. She said, Phil, I'm really interested in nursing, but I also have, an interest in business. I said, okay, great. Put nursing as your first choice, business as your second choice. That way, if you're not admissible into the nursing program, we can then review you, see if you're admissible for the business program. Jumping down to my last bullet. So outside of those 5 keys that I talked about that open the Clemson door, there are other things that we look at as well. Like I said, those resumes, letters of recommendation, personal statements, essays, etc. Those are things that are not required, but like I said, those are always things that I will strongly recommend a student submit, because you never know, that may be what tips the scale in your favor. But also, we want to know who you are outside of the numbers. So after you apply, I foreshadowed the applicant portal that we have just created. So shortly after you apply, you'll receive an email with your unique, I guess you can say, login information for your applicant portal. There is where you'll be able to not only see the status of your application and later see your admissions decision, but there you're also able to submit any additional information. So let's say, for instance, you apply and you don't have that letter of rec yet, but you submitted your application. You can go into your applicant portal and you can upload that letter of rec. You can upload that resume. You can upload that personal statement, whatever you have. But more importantly, that's where you can see status updates on your application and your decision. Financial aid. So again, I talked about the 2 big things. 1, how do I get into Clemson? But 2, how do I pay for it? We talked about scholarships, but now also other options for financial aid. The free application for federal student aid, or the FAFSA. The FAFSA is available on October 2nd, and applicants must submit that by January 2nd. But for those who aren't aware or have heard of it but don't know a lot about it, essentially it is a free application, as the name says, for federal student aid, meaning it is your way based on the family's income, your income, parents' income, whoever's in the household, to gauge how much federal assistance you can get from the government in terms of helping you pay for school. That will include loans, grants, Pell Grants, etc. So I always say, fill it out. You never know what you're eligible to get. You don't have to accept any loans if you're offered a loan, but again, it can't hurt to know what's out there for you. Again, we do not have any separate scholarship applications in terms of, or with regards to getting Clemson scholarships. You just have to apply by December 1st, and have all those documents in by December 31st. Ooh, excuse me. So pathways to Clemson. Outside of being admissible for the fall, we do have 3 other pathways to help you get to Clemson. So I'm going to jump to the bottom one, transferring. We do have students that transfer every semester, every year. Some students choose after high school to start at a local two-year school, because that just may be easier for them in terms of financially or whatever specifically they have going on. And then we also have some students who have started at another institution, realize Clemson is where they want to be, and transfer over. Well, first we have the Bridge to Clemson program, as you can see at the top of your screen. Our Bridge to Clemson program has been around for roughly 10 years, super successful. Our Bridge program typically brings in about 1/5 of our freshman class. So with our Bridge to Clemson program, you will live on campus. So you will live in a subset of our residence halls here on campus. You receive all the perks and amenities of being a quote unquote Clemson student. The only thing you're not able to do if you're in the Bridge program is participate in Greek life within that first year. But aside from all of that, within your first year, you're going to take your first year's worth of courses at Tri-County Technical College, which is roughly 5 to 10 minutes, depending on traffic away from campus. There, like I said, your first year is going to be comprised mainly of gen eds and things like that. But upon completing the Bridge program, which is essentially having 30 credit hours worth of coursework and maintaining a 2.5 GPA, you will what we call cross the bridge into Clemson. And for your sophomore year, begin taking your classes here at Clemson. In the middle, you see Tigertown Summerbound. This is one of our newer pathways to Clemson. So students who are offered Tigertown Summerbound will start in the summer prior to that fall term. Upon completing 6 credit hours worth of coursework, or just simply 2 classes, you will begin at Clemson that upcoming fall. Now, I would like to note both Bridge and Tigertown Summerbound are invitation only, so they are not something that you apply to. But again, these are pathways that we have for students who may just be on the bubble or may not necessarily be admissible for the fall. but are still super competitive and great applicants that we want to reward you with some opportunity to get to Clemson. So majors, I know we are short on time and I could go into great detail about the different colleges that we have in our different majors. But this is a list of all the majors that we have to offer within the different colleges that we have here at Clemson. I know I'm getting ready to move to the other slide. So if you don't see your major or you didn't have a chance to look through everything, no worries. Simply visit clemson.edu, our website, / the word degrees. And there you can see a breakdown of every major that we have to offer. Again, clemson.edu / degrees, or simply reach out to our office and we can definitely have that conversation with you. So academics. Again, as I touched on when we were talking about the numbers, median class size is 19, average class size is roughly that 30 to 32. We do have 7 academic colleges and 80+ degree programs, as you saw on the previous slide. But one of the biggest things that I wanted to mention is our resources. So we do have that 93% retention rate. And as a now Clemson alumnus, I can truly be a testament to say it is because of the resources that I not only made it out of freshman year, but I made it to graduation. So PAL leaders, I'm going to run down this list super quick. PAL leaders stands for peer assisted learning. Especially within our STEM majors, we have students that scored very high in that class in previous semesters, so A averages. They come back, sit in the classes, and pretty much serve as an in-class tutor to supplement what the professor is teaching and things of that nature. We have our Academic Success Center. This is an entire freestanding building on our campus that has free resources to help students be academically successful here at Clemson, whether that be tutoring, academic coaching, student accessibility services for any of our students that may have any learning disabilities or things that may hinder their performance in the classroom. We have a writing center. So for all of your classes that are going to require you to write those super long papers that you will come to get used to, we have a writing center that can not only help you walk through what the writing process is like, but also proofread and give you some feedback once that final, rough draft is done. Faculty office hours. So all of your professors are mandated to have what are called office hours. If you're not familiar with those essentially that is a set of hours a few days out of the week where your professor is truly and honestly sitting in their office waiting for a student to come speak with them and ask questions and things like that. So that's one of the quickest ways to engage with your professors in the classroom, outside of the classroom. But I will say from there, all of our professors, and truly from the professors that I've dealt with in my time here, simply sending an email or asking them before or after class to set up an appointment to meet. All of our professors are very accommodating with doing that. Most of them can meet with you that day just because they have time or whatever the case is. And then lastly, student accessibility services. Like I said, for any of our students that may have any learning disabilities or things going on that may hinder them in the classroom, even if it's something as simple as quick story. I was playing basketball in our gym. I injured myself, so it was hard for me to walk around campus. Student Accessibility Services was able to give me a pass so that I could park closer to my academic buildings rather than have me park outside of campus and walk. So little things like that to larger, like I said, things you have going on that may hinder your academic performance. Our Student Accessibility Services are there to be a resource for you. And then lastly, I know I've said it twice, I'll say it one more time. You can see here clemson.edu / degrees to see all of the academic programs that we have to offer. Research. So one of the biggest questions I get asked from my students, especially those who are super engaged and interested in whatever they are trying to pursue, how do I get involved in research? And my answer is truly and honestly, it is incredibly easy. We are an R1 research institution. The easiest way to get into some kind of research opportunity is to simply ask. So let's say, for instance, you have a friend, a classmate. Let's say, for instance, you have a professor, an advisor, a TA who you know is working on something super cool that you're interested in, or maybe you have this great idea and you're trying to figure out how to get the ball rolling with that. Simply asking one of those professors, advisors, TAs, etc., like I said, that is currently or that you're currently working with on how to get involved, and they 9 times out of 10 will either have that information themselves, or that 1 out of 10 will know who to direct you to get that information. Outside of that, we do have what's called a creative inquiry, which is a 1 credit hour research-based class. Here, it's not major specific. Let's say, for instance, you're a political science major, but you're super interested in studying something regarding plant life, just random example that came to mind. You can sign up for that creative inquiry as long as, one, you have time in your schedule, and two, it's offered in that semester, and get involved in that research opportunity. These are great things to add onto resumes, etc., to show that you have that research background, and you know how to conduct research. And then, to be honest, a lot of those opportunities are pretty cool. So yeah, research is something you can easily get involved with. Career services. This is my personal favorite resource that we have here at Clemson University, our Michelin Career Center. Our Michelin Career Center over the past few years has bounced between number 1 and 2. So we have consistently had one of the top career services within the entire country, not just the state of South Carolina. Here, the Michelin Career Center offers tons and tons of free resources to students. Yes, I said free. And with these resources, you can get involved the day you step onto campus. Excuse me, everything from resume workshops, cover letter workshops, mock interviews, etiquette training, how to dress for an interview, etc. These are resources that they have to help prepare you when it is time to interview for an internship, co-op, or following graduation. Our Career Center specializes in helping all of our students, regardless of major, find internships, co-ops, job shadowing experiences, etc. As you can see in the middle in that orange banner, we are proud of our 96% employment rate. What that simply means is following 6 months after graduation, 96% of our students have reported that they are in some way employed, pursuing some kind of higher degree, or working towards that next level of their career. We are proud of that, and truly that is a testament to the resources that we have here for our students. And then I would also like to add, I oftentimes get asked about career fairs. Every semester we have 2 career fairs for our students. I typically say they're broken up into one career fair specifically for STEM related majors, and then another career fair for non-STEM related majors. But again, every semester we do have those opportunities for students to network and get their name out there. Our Honors College. So the Clemson University Honors College is a great opportunity for students who are interested in challenging themselves, I guess you can say, a little bit more within their collegiate academic experience. So our Honors College, we do have an LLC for our Clemson University Honors College or Living Learning Community. So essentially within an LLC or that Honors College LLC, you'll be living with other Honors College students. That's pretty much an easier way to make friends when first coming to Clemson. But also with that LLC, for example, you will have a class that instead of having to walk maybe across campus to that specific academic building, that class may meet in the ground floor of your dorm. So instead of, like I said, having to walk across campus, you simply just have to walk downstairs. I myself lived in an LLC my freshman year, and it truly was great, especially those days I was running late, where instead of having to run across campus, I simply just had to get in the elevator and go to our lobby to meet with my class. So a little bit in depth, our Honors College roughly take in 350 freshmen annually. So our Honors College does have their own separate application process. As you can see there, that priority deadline is December 8, non-priority February 22nd. Those dates have roughly fluctuated a little bit just because of COVID. But again, if you need more information, reach out to me or simply reach out to our Honors College. We have great reps looking and willing to talk to students. But because the Honors College is separate from the admissions process, of course, once you apply to Clemson, you can then apply to the Honors College. They do have, I guess the easiest way to put it is they're more competitive. As you can see there, that 1,500 SAT, 33 ACT, top 6% of your class. Again, we are test optional, but as you can see, it is more competitive to get into our Honors College. But by all means, if that's something you're interested in, please, please, please apply and, try to get in. Diversity and inclusion. This is one of my personal favorites to talk about at Clemson in terms of resources and things like that we have for our underrepresented students. Over the years, Clemson has continuously worked and utilize resources to improve our diversity numbers and make campus more inclusive for everyone. Things like Tiger Alliance, Emerging Scholars, and the Men of Color National Summit. These are all three that I have personally been involved in. Tiger Alliance is a mentorship program where students here on campus, well, minority male students here on campus, will work with high school students within the upstate of South Carolina, giving them resources on what it looks like to apply to college, how to pick a college, how to pay for school, etc. Emerging Scholars is a pipeline program that we have here to give resources and just more tools and information for some of our underrepresented students that live in the lower country of South Carolina, as we call it. And then the Men of Color National Summit is this great opportunity that I have had the pleasure of working with since its inception, going on 5 years ago. This is a summit in the upstate of South Carolina in Greenville, which is roughly 30 to 40 minutes from campus, where we bring in amazing guest speakers to really just uplift, empower, and again, give those resources to our students. Prospective student resources. So there are, well, specifically with COVID, there are a lot of virtual diversity and inclusive events focused on our underrepresented students, giving them the resources. Again, resources is the biggest thing that I keep talking about, giving them the resources to not only get into Clemson, but be successful once they're here at Clemson. Lastly, just to name a few of my personal favorites, we have Peer and Wise, which are great resources for students that are involved in STEM fields, so science, technology, engineering, and math. We have the Harvey and Lucinda Gant Multicultural Center. There you will find amazing staff, amazing resources if you are one of those underrepresented populations and maybe you don't see enough of yourself in whatever space you're in, or maybe you want to get involved with some clubs and organizations that are more near dear to maybe your specific culture, things like that. The Harvey and Lucinda Gant Multicultural Center is a great way to get involved. And then Call Me Mister, lastly, is a teaching preparation program, as it says, to increase the number of teachers from diverse background. That is a great program as well that I have a lot of friends who were involved in since their freshman year and are now serving as teachers all across the country in the classroom. So student life. Oftentimes I get asked, what do you guys do on Clemson for fun, or do at Clemson for fun? We have over 550 clubs and organizations here on campus. As it says, and I'm going to read it to you, Greek life, multicultural orgs, religious organizations, service organizations, etc. We have truly over 550 organizations, down to one of them even being the Chocolate Milk Club, where truly students who are in that club will meet up on campus. I don't know about that now because of COVID, but prior to everything that's going on, they would literally meet up on campus, hang out, and drink chocolate milk. So truly and honestly, anything and everything you are interested in, we probably have a club and organization that's already doing that for you to get involved in. But let's say, for instance, you're interested in that one thing and we don't have it. It is super easy to start your own club and organization. I see currently there are 6 participants in this Zoom. So the 6 of us could easily get together, find a faculty or staff member who's willing to serve as our advisor, and start our own club and organization. In the middle, as you see, athletics. We are super known for our college football. The Clemson Tigers not only have consistently been winning, been ranked within the top 1 to 4 for the past few years, won a couple national championships. NCAA, our NCAA Division I athletics is a highlight of our campus. We have 19 athletic teams, one of those being football, the others being like men and women's basketball, men and women's soccer, baseball, softball, etc. One thing that's unique about Clemson is all of our athletic tickets are free. So whether it's a home game, whether it's a potential away game, whether it's a bowl game, whether it's the national championship, you have the opportunity to get a free ticket. If you would like to buy a ticket, by all means, but all of our students have the opportunity to get a free ticket regardless of the sport and regardless of what level of play it's at, I guess you can say. Aside from that, intramurals and club sports. Club sports, I would typically say, is like JV compared to the varsity that is Division I athletics. But if you're looking to play a sport still competitively, but not necessarily where it's going to dominate your collegiate career, Club sports is a great opportunity to do that. And then lastly, intramural sports is a great way for you and some of your friends to pick a sport and compete against other teams. Lastly, outdoor surroundings. So we are huge, and one thing that truly pushed me to come to Clemson is the outdoor space. It's super relaxing. I know it's hard to hear me talk about it, but not really understand it because we don't have tours going on right now. But we are on Lake Hartwell, and we are right on the beginning. I guess you can say, my mind went blank for a minute. I'm sorry. The beginning of the Blue Ridge Mountains. So students who really love being outdoors or simply like just going and sitting outside and enjoying the fresh air, we have amazing, amazing scenery and green space on our campus. But again, for students who aren't necessarily interested in being outside, or being outside is not your thing, we do have a lot of indoor resources and things to do as well. For example, we have 3 gyms on campus. We have an area on campus that students call the underground, which is where there's bowling, like ping pong, foosball, pool tables, arcade games, etc. So it's a nice, pretty large hangout space. We have a movie theater on campus where periodically we will rent the rights to certain movies and play movies free for students, give out free soda and popcorn and things like that. Just ways to help students decompress and relax after maybe a stressful week, stressful day, etc. So there are a lot of things to do here at Clemson. Aside from that, when we're talking about outside of actual campus, Clemson, South Carolina is full of restaurants. We have our quote unquote downtown area, which is a strip. I guess you can say like 1 block outside of campus, where there's tons of restaurants, bars, clothing stores, and things like that. Aside from that, Anderson, South Carolina, which is roughly 15 to 20 minutes away from us, that's where our closest mall will be. There are more restaurants and things like that. And then, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, Greenville, South Carolina is roughly 30 to 35 minutes, depending on traffic. That's where any big concerts or sporting events, not like NBA, NFL, but we've had arena football come, concerts and things like that. When they come to Greenville, South Carolina. There is a larger downtown area, a larger mall, etc. So there are a lot of things to do while here at Clemson. So the Clemson family, we are huge on traditions. As I'm wrapping up my slideshow, then we can go to some questions. Some of our big traditions and some of my personal favorites include Solid Orange Friday. I know it's not Friday now, but this pullover that I have on is just one example of something orange you would literally see all of our faculty, staff, students, even those in the greater Clemson area wearing on Friday, just in support of the school, football, or whatever athletic program is going on at the time. Our alma mater is something we sing after each sporting event, but also something we sing at graduation, just again in support of our school. The ring ceremony is probably one of the biggest and coolest traditions we have here at Clemson. So all of our students pride ourselves on getting that Clemson ring once it is time to graduate. There's an entire ceremony for it, similar to graduation, but instead of getting your diploma, you're getting your ring. Legacy Day, and then homecoming floats and Tiger-Rama. Tiger-Rama is basically a huge student-led pep rally that we have here on campus. And then, as you can see, we are ranked number 11 for Alumni Network and ranked number 2 for students that love their college. So that's pretty much my presentation and all I have. So like we've been saying, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to put those in the Q&A box, and I will answer them. Now let me see if I can see any. Uh-oh, I'm clicking on it and it's not working. Maybe I have to stop sharing. Let's do that. So if you have any questions, I know we do have a little bit of time left. Feel free to type those questions in. Feel free to reach out to our offices at Clemson University. There, like I said, you will be able to find our contact information, my specific contact information, as I am the one that deals with Ohio students. So I will be the one reviewing your applications and things like that. Give it another minute or so. Don't really see any questions, which is perfectly fine. I know I gave a lot of information. Okay. Oh, I see one. Oh, I'll have to go out. What opportunities do you have for students looking to go into the medical field, and are your majors competitive with other colleges? So that is a great question. So again, the question basically was, what opportunities do we have for students looking to go into the medical field, and are our majors competitive with other colleges? Yes, all of our majors are super competitive. But in terms of the medical field, so whether you're looking to become a doctor, a surgeon, a vet, physical therapist, dentist, any of those pre-professional health fields, we have a great advising team that you will work with. So as soon as you come onto campus, you would speak with your advisor and say, hey, look, my end goal is to go to med school. My end goal is to become a physical therapist, etc. And there they will place you with that advisor who knows what those postgraduate exams are going to look like, what getting into, for example, med school is going to look like, to not only help you prepare yourself as you're here at Clemson, but also get those necessary courses that you need to not only qualify to apply for a med school, but also, to help you get into a med school. Roughly, I want to say, if I remember the number correctly, I want to say it's roughly 45% of our students get into some kind of med school that go through our pre-professional health advising and stay on track, or the track that is built for them. So we are pretty successful at helping our students get to that postgraduate level of education that they're looking for. And then also I'd like to add really quick, since this is a great question, these majors or these pre-professional programs are not major specific. So of course you can be a biology major, nursing major, health sciences major, etc. Great. But we have also seen English majors, psychology majors, political science majors still work with those pre-professional health teams and get to medical school, dental school, etc. Like I said. So of course, if you want to take that science-based background, great. But if not, you are more than welcome to really truly be any major that you want and still pursue that field. Great question. So real quick, it says, if you apply to the honors college but don't get accepted, are you still considered for regular student admission, or do you need to fill out both applications? That's a great question. And I just want to reiterate and clarify, they are two separate applications. So you have to apply to Clemson first before you can apply to the honors college. So in the event that you're not accepted into the honors college, that in no way is going to affect your Clemson decision. And then with that as well, let's say, for instance, you don't get accepted into the honors college coming into your freshman year, you still are able to apply each semester up until the second semester of your junior year. So if you don't get in the first try, there are still more opportunities to try and get into the honors college. So that's really a great question. And sorry if I didn't clarify that. So I know our time is wrapping up. I really just wanted to say thank you to everyone. Again, clemson.edu, or if you just Google Clemson admissions, that is the easiest way to find all of our contact information, my specific contact information. And if you have any questions from there, please don't hesitate to reach out to us.
All right. Thank you, Philip, and thank all the students for joining us. Again, this recording will be available about a week after this session does conclude at oacac.org. And also know that there are many other sessions being hosted, so be sure to check that out and take advantage of all the information being provided to you virtually this year while you're making college decisions. When you close this window, there will be a link to a very quick 4-question survey that we'd appreciate any feedback you can provide on this session. This is not a critique of the actual session itself from the presentation, but more the facilitation and the actual functionality of the event itself. So we'd certainly appreciate any feedback that you can give to us. Thank you very much, and we hope to see you all soon at other sessions. Bye-bye.